Have you ever wondered if history has a roadmap, if there's a divine plan unfolding behind the chaos of our world? In the heart of the Old Testament, hidden in the book of Daniel, lies one of the most breathtaking prophecies ever given. It's a detailed timeline, revealed by an angel, that pinpoints the arrival of the Messiah, foretells the destruction of Jerusalem, and unveils the final countdown of human history. This is the prophecy of the 70 weeks, and it will change the way you see everything. Let's travel back to ancient Babylon. The prophet Daniel, nearing the end of his life, is heartbroken for his people, the Israelites, who are in exile in Babylon. He prays fervently, pleading with God to remember his promises. In response, God doesn't just send comfort. He sends the archangel Gabriel with a message that will echo through millennia. Gabriel tells Daniel, 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city. Verse 24. Now, this isn't talking about 70 weeks of days. In Hebrew prophecy, a week often represents a period of 7 years. So, 70 weeks means 77s of years, or a total of 490 years. This is God's prophetic clock, specifically for Israel and Jerusalem. And Gabriel gives a precise starting point. He says, from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Verse 25. The countdown begins, not with Daniel's prayer, but with a future royal decree to rebuild the city of Jerusalem, which lay in ruins. We know from history that this decree was given by the Persian king Artaxerxes in 445 BC. From that exact moment, the prophecy states that 69 weeks, or 483 years, would pass until the official presentation of the Messiah. If you do the math, accounting for the 360-day prophetic year used in ancient cultures, 483 years from 445 BC brings you to the exact year of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, the very day he presented himself as Israel's king in 33 AD. It's an astonishingly precise prediction, written centuries in advance. But this is where the prophecy takes a stunning and sorrowful turn. After those 69 weeks are complete, Gabriel warns, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. Verse 26a. The promised king, the anointed one, would not immediately establish his kingdom on earth. Instead, he would be cut off, a Hebrew term implying a violent, sudden death. And crucially, it would not be for his own sake, not for any crime he committed. This points directly to the cross. Jesus Christ, the Messiah, was crucified. He was cut off from the land of the living, not for his own sins, but as a sacrifice for the sins of the world. He came not to reign at that time, but to redeem. This single verse is one of the clearest Old Testament prophecies of the substitutionary atonement of Christ, the very heart of the gospel message. His death wasn't a tragedy that derailed God's plan. It was the very fulfillment of it. But the prophecy doesn't stop there. Immediately following the Messiah's death and resurrection, Gabriel foretells another catastrophe. He says, "And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary." Verse 26b. This is a chillingly accurate description of what happened in 70 AD. Just a generation after Christ's crucifixion, the Roman legions, led by General Titus, laid siege to Jerusalem. They burned the city to the ground and completely dismantled the glorious temple, just as Jesus himself had predicted. The prophecy mentions the people of the prince who is to come. This is key. It was the Roman people who destroyed the city. This implies that the future prince, a major figure yet to appear, will arise from a revived form of that same Roman Empire. Gabriel continues, "The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined." The destruction was overwhelming, like a flood, and it set in motion a long period of desolation for Israel. So, let's recap. The first 69 weeks, or 483 years, have been fulfilled with surgical precision. They started with the decree to rebuild Jerusalem and ended with the arrival and cutting off of the Messiah. Then, the predicted destruction of the city and temple occurred. But what about the 70th week? There is still 1 week, one final 7-year period left on God's prophetic clock for Israel. This reveals a fascinating aspect of biblical prophecy, the concept of a gap. Between the 69th and the 70th week, there is a pause in the timeline. The clock stopped, prophetically speaking, after the Messiah was rejected and cut off. This intervening period is what we call the Church Age. It's a time when God's focus shifted from the nation of Israel to building His church, composed of both Jews and Gentiles who put their faith in the risen Christ. This mystery, as the Apostle Paul calls it, was hidden from Old Testament prophets like Daniel, but is now fully revealed. So when does the clock start ticking again for that final 70th week? The prophecy moves into the future to describe it. The Jewish temple must be rebuilt. This is where we encounter the figure of the Antichrist. Gabriel says, "Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week." Verse 27a. This, he is the prince who is to come, the future world leader who will rise from a revived Roman-like system. He will broker a peace treaty or a covenant that specifically involves Israel, guaranteeing their security for 7 years. This act will officially start the countdown of the final 7 years, known to many as the tribulation period. For the first 3.5 years, there might be a semblance of peace. But the prophecy warns of a shocking betrayal. In the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. Halfway through the 7-year treaty, this ruler will break his promise. He will enter a newly rebuilt temple in Jerusalem and put a stop to the sacrifices that may have been reinstated. This betrayal marks the midpoint of the final 7 years and triggers the most terrifying period in human history. It's the beginning of what Jesus called the Great Tribulation. This world leader will reveal his true nature, setting himself up as an object of worship and unleashing unprecedented persecution against Israel and anyone who refuses to worship him. This leads us to the climactic final verse of the prophecy. After breaking the covenant, Gabriel says, "And on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate." This is the abomination of desolation. Verse 27b. It's a horrific act of blasphemy where this future ruler, the Antichrist, will desecrate the holy place, likely by placing an idol or image of himself in the temple to be worshipped. Jesus himself referenced this very event from Daniel's prophecy, warning his followers that when they see it, they who are in Judea should flee to the mountains. It's an act of ultimate defiance against God, bringing spiritual and physical desolation upon the land. It seems like evil has its final triumph. But the prophecy does not end in despair. It gives us the final outcome. The reign of this desolator will continue, even until the consummation, which is determined, is poured out on the desolate. His rule has a divinely appointed end. Judgment is determined, and it will be poured out upon him. At the end of that 70th week, at the close of the 7 years, the Antichrist's reign of terror will be brought to an abrupt and final end. This is the moment of the glorious return of Jesus Christ. He will come back, not as a suffering servant, but as the conquering king. He will destroy the Antichrist, judge the nations, and finally establish the kingdom of righteousness and peace that Israel has been waiting for. So what does this all mean for us today? Daniel's prophecy of the 70 weeks is more than just a fascinating puzzle of dates and figures. It is a powerful testament to the sovereignty and faithfulness of God. It proves that God is in complete control of history. Events that seem random and chaotic to us are all part of His intricate and perfectly timed plan. It gives us irrefutable evidence for the identity of Jesus as the Messiah. The mathematical precision of the first 69 weeks is a stunning confirmation that Jesus of Nazareth is the Anointed One foretold centuries earlier, and it gives us hope for the future. Just as God fulfilled the first 69 weeks with perfect accuracy, we can have absolute confidence that He will bring the final week to its prophesied conclusion. History is not spiraling out of control. It is moving purposefully towards a glorious climax, the return of the King, who was once cut off, but who will reign forever. The 70 weeks are a roadmap of redemption, showing us God's plan from ancient Babylon all the way to the New Jerusalem.